Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
Here, for example, the benefits, and you can use them to create dataset. But what I was wondering is that again, what happened if I created without this? I'm not going to choose anything at the beginning. And later on, I'm going to be told that, for example, it has to be coming from this and this. For example, what I mean? Sometimes you get some specification, but then people change their mind or they were wrong at the first time. How? When I did that? I don't remember what I did. I think I did the benefit one and I tried to find an option to add something. Maybe this time I'm pretty sure this already exists actually, but I'm going to try to. Sure, in that case. We discussed previously also that when we connect any particular data set, we can change the pipeline anytime. Let's say I have connected with employee benefit data at the moment. After then, let's say I want to connect with BDS employee benefit data or something else. I can do that. It's not necessary I can change the connections. But I should make sure that all the rest stages configured in that particular data sets will pop up errors. I need to solve those errors because the data fields will change. All the things will reflect those changes. Maybe because I'm going to create this, it actually went through. Without putting a 1 or 2 on the name. This is the fields. I have these 8 fields activities. And now when I'm trying to find some options, I just say from here data set and transformations. That will probably help me to work on the data, transforming them. Now what you have done is you have imported the employee benefit data derived dataset. Oh, I think base dataset. Now you can perform a transformation on it. Now you can also combine two datasets. Already you have existing employee benefit data dataset. Now you can add a stage with join or union by doing. You will be able to merge two datasets together into one dataset. I get to here and now pipeline. Maybe the overview. I think this was the example if I remember correctly. Now you're doing join, you will require a join key. See, maybe employee ID. It seems a good main key. You can perform left outer joint. In most of the cases, we perform left. Outer joint. Still, it depends on the requirement. Yes, but yes. I might need that. You can avoid the upload ID as it's mostly required in the beginning, not in the end. I'm trying to what I can make out of this. because it would be a good idea to, for example, find people who have a very good or maybe a different way. Then you just say you are doing a review of the employers and people who are a very good grade. They just say they are 3 graders, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 is the best and 3 is not the best, and then you want to 4. Example, maybe it's too much for this because there's no compensation data. But what if some people who are number 1, they were the best employees, they're getting some rise or some extra benefits. This kind of, for example, I'm doing the report for people to tell them, hey, these people were really good. This is what we calculate. They're going to be having the benefit now. They do not get an extra pay or something that. I'm not sure if I can do it here. I'll just say current preference writing. When I did wellness score, here you can remove the first name and last name and employee. Because they are already present in the primary pipeline, you can remove the duplication. Support you didn't select in the previous one. You can select now. I think I select support. I didn't. Actually, I'm going to choose it here. I think this is better. Last row and date. But if its score is also here, that's interesting. You might have more date before as employee overview because in the assignment I think it was named as employee overview only. It seems to be a merged desk. What do you suggest from here? I should write. You can change the pipeline. With your already employee benefit, you can go above where the joint pipeline is. Yes. Click on it. Add another pipeline. And in search, you can try something with performance matrix. It's down. Maybe I don't have to match. There is some. VDS performance matrix was coming. I see it now. There it is. There you are again. I think it's still to be loaded. Employee and employee ID, and now yes, you can avoid the repetitions. Employee we already have. You can avoid them. It's current performance. But then employee ID, you want to keep it because it's a main key, or is it not? It's a main key, but do you want to include it in the output or not? Basically, they are connected. But in the display, do you want to keep it or not? It's that option. If I would keep it, then I would have it twice. Yes. When you click it, it will come as employee underscore ID2. Last review period and date. Yes, I was checking identity. I think this is all. And join type, you have to select level. I forgot the left one. That's why it doesn't show me. I could look at the preview first, actually. I will be smarter. You can see the column has added in the last that for current performance and last review. This is a different scale than what I imagined. This one has a 4 and 5, which is probably better, more precise. There was no preview. Maybe he wasn't working for a year. You need to work a year to have a preview, or something that. But then at this stage, I say, I want to make some calculations. Can I add the calculations from the read side? Add field. Add field, then the above the table. There's a yes. There is a I'm going to do calculations. I can write the function here. I don't know. You can make the dialog box bigger as from the hand side A. And you can draft the formulas over there. I just covered that with share screen. Trying to figure out how it will work for every employee. First of all, if we see the assignment, you have to apply the filter. You can apply the filter first and then create a call field. I still need to move on. Have I already chosen or not? What do you want to do here? Let's just say I'm going to use this one. Cases when then. Maybe start from that part. When current performance. No, that's not going to be the one. In databases, if I would give them a direction on the name of the table, it would show it here. To mention the field names in the square bracket. A square bracket. You can enter in a square bracket. I want to click cancel. I think I see it here. The current performance. If this is the name, this is the correct name or not. When you will create a square bracket, then only you will be able to see the name. First you need to yes. Now inside the square bracket, you need to search. Just equal 5. I think this was the then. I should actually create a new one because I want a new column when it says for example, the pay increased 10%. For people who have a 5%, 10% increase. For people who have a 4%, maybe 5%. Something this. But then I wonder I have to create a new table for that. I think I can just create it here because that's going to be what the calculation is going to make. This is going to be the result of the calculations. I just should have called this before. Instead of just a new field, I should have given it a name, maybe the percent increase, pay percent increase. Current rating, I didn't understand your logic. Can you repeat what you actually want to achieve? What percentage increase for which part? For people who have a rating 5, you get, for example, 15%. Then for people who have a 4, you get 10%. For people with a 3 or 5%, yes. Then you can mention that. When yes, then you can enter a static value in the inverted comma. But if I were to do the percentage, is it going to understand me if I write a 10%, for example? I don't think. No, it won't. It won't. But if it's just for understanding that for say F rating it will get 10, then it will. You need to pass a numeric value. When someone will do the calculation, they will multiply that 10%. Let's say if I want to do the compensation based upon 10%, what I will do, let's say my pay is 5,000 euros and I want to have an increase of 10%, then 10%, what I will do is I will multiply 5,000 by 10 and divide it by 100 to get the 10% of my, that's what. It's always preferred to have that, to always have in numeric format. Basically, in one column you will define the percentage that the performance rating is 5, 10, 10. Then if it's 3, let's say 5, 5 is the maximum, I guess. If I use the maximum, then it should be 15. Yes, and let's say if it's 4, it should be 10, and if it's 3, it should be 5. Now that cost. Column has been created. Now, if I will have the column for the compensation, I'll simply just multiply it with this column with 15, 10 or 5 and do it by 100. This column is going to have a value is 10, 15, 5, 15, 10, 5 and somebody can use it to make a calculation. But because if I wrote it that way, I think it's more strict. It's not a numeric value. I need to put numeric value. In what way? Because I can just write, for example, 15%. You can write just 15 over there. Then all I still have to, oh, I needed too much. If you write a numeric value, you don't need to write an inverted comma. You can write it directly. I was thinking about this. A comma to me seems a string or something that. Yes, correct. And then I feel I don't think I can. Where have you stuck it? What I'm thinking is that we need another one for grade 4. Be 10 and another one for grade 3 to be 5. I can make another when, but I think that I need to close with else first. No. In case condition, what we do is first of all mention all the conditions, then when this, then this. Let's say I mentioned 3 conditions. Then if those 3 conditions are not met, then else you will use that particular condition. It works that way. Yes, I will mention all my condition, first when, and then let's have 3 condition for condition, 5 condition. I can entertain condition as but in else I will mention that if out of those 3 condition, if those condition doesn't match, then you have to use any particular one. You can enter 0, maybe exactly, because if you don't have a rating, you don't get anything yet exactly, no rating, no increment. Thank you. Else you get normal types here. There's no need for equals to as you all. That makes sense, and just try to apply and see what the result will be. It's generating that. It looks nice. I see 5, 10, 15, but let's add the field. Actually, no, it doesn't really do what it might be useful anyway. If I wanted to, for example, make that calculation to show it to the compensation team or somebody else, what I do is I change pipeline and get a data source that have the current pay of these employees. You say, for example, 5,000 euro. We need to find another database that has. No, that's fine. That's fine. If you will change the pipeline again, what it will do is it will affect the existing pipeline. In the next stage, you can add another data set with the pay data, compensation data. I'm going to cancel that. I already have one. You can go back. You can save this one. Do I have a save button here? On the side, you will have a save button. Top corner, yes. And you have one field. You can remove the additional column and then rename that field name if you want. Oh yes, I was a good idea because that doesn't say anything. On the side there's a panel. Yes, you can be named. And this is. You can remove the additional column if you want. You can click the arrow over there. There is a small arrow where there is a name. You can click on the top down and you will be able to delete it. An additional column. You can go to its name in the table. And there's a small arrow over there in the table only, where the percentage change is there, last review date is there. That's fine. The more you practice, the more you'll have hands on it. That's complex. That's why I wanted to kind of do it with you, because I'm clicking now and this is gonna memorize things when I'm clicking myself. Again, I want to be back to that. Now, I don't know. Now you need to click on that arrow near the primary pipeline. The two arrows are there that you will close it. Now you can save your work again. That sounds important because I need to remember about that. Now go to Add Stage and do another join. And this time use the pipeline DV worker data. I have created that report, not report, but yes, that dataset, I guess DV before Victoria worker, this one. Yes, you can pick that one that will also work, and the only. The only thing I actually need from here is the value of the compensation. I'm going to still put the main causa employee ID. That's something I didn't expect. There is no value that employee ID Basically for that one, there's no any field such as that. Let me check. Meanwhile, can you change the pipeline? Pipeline. I think it's the old one. Let me share the name baby worker beta. Actually, someone has done too many modifications to them. My existing one, yes. That's a file upload which you chose. You need to go and choose. DB worker data. In that you will find the RB juice. Again for data RB worker data, RBV worker data, RBDV, repeat, I have to go down, I guess. Actually, it's not easy if I write a DV, worker data, second one a yes. In that you will find the total base pay of the work. You will be able to add this total base pay annualized amount. Now what? You will do a left doctor join. You will select all the fields from primary pipeline. Yes, because you will want all and now in the secondary pipeline. You can only select the total base pay. You can unselect the employee and only select the total base pay annualized. But can I just, that's what I want to do. That's when I choose this, everything in here, I already choose from the step when two previous datasets were merged by the left after because the primary pipeline is not just the first dataset, but the two that I previously joined together. That's what I thought. It's done. I need to use preview next time because I go too fast in this. Here you can go to edit and again unselect the employee because the employee has been selected twice. You can unselect it from the go to the join, edit, and unselect the employee from the secondary stage. All you because I only wanted to one value. That's all I guess. The second call. A column from last year. It went V. Now you can save this working. And add a call field. Yes, because the page refreshes very often after some amount of work. You can save your work. It's gonna be new total. Wait one more time. Now you can just normally do the math as if you don't apply any formula, you can just multiply. Do in the square bracket, I need to do, break it. That's a curly bracket. Into square bracket change first of all. Percentage into multiply as a then again square bracket. And then divided by 100. Get the increased amount. Yes, that's increased amount, then you need to add it. Actually, we can still do that in this, I feel. Yes, you can create another bracket, a round bracket. Once this calculation is done, you can add a plus with total base pay. I know I clicked, but I wanted to reload the page. That's not what I know. I think when you made the wrong one, you didn't mean this one, you just wanted this one. And this is plus total base pay. Let's see if it will work. Let's do apply and see how this calculates. Then there are some people who have a null, and I think I want to do something to exclude them. What I mean? Honestly, I didn't really look at that through first because I saw this value and I never thought about where is my field? It got refreshed. You need to degrade it again. How can I refresh to not lose the data? The join also went. You have to join. Also perform the join again. At that stage, yes, join. I start over. Yes, it's a good practice that you keep saving your work every few steps. RBD we work a data second, yes. Because creating this formula and doing it again sometimes it's very hectic. You select this left one and here I don't want to include it, I just want to. I can save it now. Inside the field this is going to be. I lost that. Did I say before I applied? because I might have missed that again. Just in case. Yes, you can do copy. If I lose it again, I have a quicker copy. Copy it again. Oh no, that's my password. How did you not copy here? I think I lost it anyway. No, I didn't copy that. No worries, we can recreate it again. Do that. That was total. For one who doesn't have a new, I can see the changes. And then let's just say I want to get rid of everybody who has a new or 0, because there's no point for them to show up in here. The point is I should have done it before. If I get rid of them in here, that would be a really good idea, because why would we even try to calculate something that is not going to come up, that you can add between? Yes, correct. Between those two joints you can add a filter, and in that filter you can mention, but if you want to avoid the repetition, let's say you want to apply filter on both total base pay as the another one of the percentage change. You can do it afterwards, as that will also work. Total base pay is in the next. It's after this date. You can go back and add it after the last join. That you can add it directly, yes, at state. Type as total base is equal to 0. You can mention not equal to. And you can only type 0, it will take it. It won't be an issue. Yes, and in currency the USD is mentioned. You can mention other currency as in that. Oh, it's a multiple choice field. I think it's a single choice only, it's not a multiple. Oh, it doesn't look that. Because multiple currencies are involved, you can, for all, any of them. You can select every. If it's square bracket, the square is coming. You can select any of them. But if it's swing around the option, it's just only select one. What you can do is you can filter this population for Europe. All the currency will be in that currency. But then this is gonna be number one filter. Should I say no? I don't have options. And you can also apply another condition, for example. Means, for example, another condition saying that country is difference than say this country is Poland. I told you we don't have a euro in Poland. I would maybe choose something different. But anyway, I was thinking at what stage would be the best. There's no reason to read all this data, who are not going to be used anyway. It's always a standard practice to add the filter in the beginning only. But here we can see that the joint stage is coming in the end. You're getting the total base pay amount in the later stage. As soon as you get it, you can apply the filter from there itself. But it can be, for example, add filter here. You can add the filter, but the total base pay is not there in that lineage. Because it's not there here. Yes, correct. Why does it say these numbers ID1, ID2, ID5? It jumps through the 3 and 4. It is coming 5, 3 and 4. You might have created it, but the 10 might have refreshed. Basically, ID signifies the sequence that how you generated. Let's say after join 2, if you add any of the stages, you will get ID 8 or 9. It signifies in which order you created these stages, and I think I want to make it clear for myself. I cannot change it. Stage ID is always going to be set by the system. Yes, we can change it. Let's say now you save this working and add another filter condition. Then that will come as stage ID 8. Sorry, I'm back. Yes, I was wondering when to add this. If I add filter here, yes, you can add the filter, but you won't get the. It's going to be stage 8. It's going to be filter after the filter, add the filter, and let's just say codebase. I think you have added this in the extreme bottom only. It's already there. You can add cancel. I think you already have that. You were adding. And by replacing stage ID 7, where do you want to exactly add this one? I mean, it would be better to add it here. That was my initial idea. Where should you add it most efficiently? Because I start to think that maybe we shouldn't even read all these people. I mean, the people who have unknowns. They shouldn't even go through the calculations. If you want to apply over the review period date, you can add it in stage ID 2. After stage ID 2, you can add a filter. Yes, for the add a filter. You mentioned that review period is not null. You mentioned that last review period. Again last year. It's not. It's not null. It's even ready here. Yes, and you can apply. Now in the later stage, all this you can click on done, and once you can see the video that it went. Now you have limited records only. That makes sense. I see all these values. Now it's time to save, I guess. I didn't want to do the game. It will. You lost the company. We're going to be looking at all of this. It's just this one is looking cleaner. But then this is just the percentage change. If I go back to the filter 37, I should be able to see new base pay too. It should be content only for non-nulls, but it's still leaving. Me 0, you see 0. Those workers, those are the test workers. Someone has created test cases and that they haven't given. When the total base pay. Those are not nulls, but basically the value is 0. I mentioned in Prism 0 and nulls are treated separately. If there is a value for 0, the 0 will come. Or if it's completely blank, then it will come as null. It's people who are probably not getting paid. But they're getting stocks or something this. Yes. Or maybe someone has created any tech worker in the tenant. But they haven't assigned the compensation to him. Because it's a demo tenant. Or somebody's testing something, makes sense. If you go to that employee's profile, you will be able to see. You can select the employee of that person who has 0. Click on it. And open in, you can copy it. I can open the duplicate because I want to leave this yet. Total is high. Allowances, he has an allowance, but his total base is 0, that's why. Its base is 0. But as you mentioned that he is not receiving the base pay, but he is receiving other things, stocks or something else. It's the same for him. He's not receiving any base pay, but he's rather receiving stocks. His stocks bonuses are very good and also his VP. It is understandable that VP generally don't draw. Mostly they don't draw salary. But they draw compensation in the form of allowances and the bonuses toward taxation. I wonder what else I could do here if I want to get rid of the situations that. What can I do? You can go to the filter stage. It's 7 and add. Add filter again in the bottom another. Keep that, keep that. Yes, add another one. Total waste pay is not equal to 0, is not equal. Or you can mention or you can. Mention greater than 0. That will also work. Greater than second option greater than 0. But here you might need to apply a condition over the currency because currency we have the limitations to the currency. Yes, I need to create a second one, actually the third filter that says the same. Same but for euro. Yes, what else do I have? We try add filter when total base pay. Is I think, but you have got it filtered. Only the US people got filtered. It worked. You see only US people. Oh, because there's other. Filter above, I think. Now you'll see euro. Using both the conditions together. With it. That's interesting. Let me save that. I know it's wrong, but I want to keep this at this point. And let's try to correct that. You can do one thing. You can go to the stage. You can remove these stages. You can simplify it by adding a country. You can go back and go to join stage ID 5. Stage E, and pull the country from the secondary pipeline. Secondary pipeline. You can have a country, location, address, country is there, and click done. And now you can go to filter and edit the filter, and you can first of all get rid of the filter 2 and delete that. It's no longer required. And you can mention add filter and location, address, country. You can mention any European company is in the selection. I think Europe will be whole. You can mention France, Spain, Italy. You need to click as in the selection list. It is the standard practice tool, and I think I can put the second one here. Let me try Germany. If you do the in the selection list, you will be able to add multiple, I guess. When you do the yes, you can keep the edit one only. Location is equal to we have mentioned. Go to edit and that filter I did yes is equal to. Is there is equal to condition? Click on it is in the list. Now we're able to add multiples. Yes, that's enough for now and just say apply. You can see this working. Yes, let me save it and then it looks good because there's France 5% increase and from 26,000 it's going to 27. I assume this is correct. I assume it's actually giving you an idea. Actually, we are running out of time. Do you want to discuss something? I think we will require more time to discuss. I just wanted to discuss the data change task. But it will take time. We can cover it up in the next session then. Absolutely. Thank you for your time. No problem. It's good that you are taking these examples. You are doing something which is not in the least, but it's good that you have hands on it. The more you will practice, the more you will be habitative with it. But keep in mind, to keep the standard process in mind, that when you create a data set now, you haven't named it. You have named it as image. Import of employee benefit data. You can. When doing this, it will create confusion. It's standard practice to name it DDS employee. You will be able to understand it. It's a derived data set. Can I change it now? Yes, you can do it now as you can go to that pencil symbol with the name. There's a pencil symbol near that name. Let me click on that. No on the edit on the above one. Makes sense. You say it's going to be DTS drive. Data says benefits. They didn't mention anything of your choice. After DDS, you can also mention and your initial as that you will be able to filter it out with the data for now at least, because there are multiple results for one. You can, after DDS, you can mention mess. You will be able to identify that it's your employee benefit. Exactly. Because there are many duplicates. I was thinking about getting myself something benefits. Yes, you can type hold and you can create a new tag. And maybe I also want to add pay. I will maybe base pay. Because that's compensation you can add. Because it's related to compensation. All and you can save it. Oh, save. When the save icon will become dark, you will be able to. Understand it. There's some walking which have done which you have to save. Now there's nothing. To save, you can see the save button is blurred. If you are not able to, there's nothing. When it becomes dark black, you need to understand that there's some which are performed to save it. No worries you. It's good that you're practicing it, just continuous practice. In the next session, we will continue with the data change task. Try to cover it up. If time permits, cover the discovery board, or else at least cover the data change task and other remaining things if there's anything. First of all, I will show you the presentation. What are data change tasks? A data change task is a Prismatics object that defines how to change the data in Prismatics table using data from specific source. You can save data change tasks and run them at any time. We know that data change tasks are specifically used for tables. Create data change task. To out the transform data from derived data set into a table, it can be used in two ways, either while loading the data into the table or while loading the data from derived data sets to the table. Either we are loading in the table or we are pushing out outside of the table. Example are, you have a base data set with data from custom report and you have a desired data set. From the transform in base data set, you can create a data change task that uses data from the data set and load it to the table. Basically, we are loading the data into the table. The data change task can be accessible from the screenshot. You can see data change task. See what are the components involved in it. First of all, the data, since task has been break down into the majorly 4 stages. Source target table, target operation and mapping. Let's see in practical. If we see the source of it, what it shows, let's show us in source we get an option, that object that contains the data that you want to load into the target table, example a custom report or delimited file. That you upload a connection, here we store, choose the source of it. Depending on the source type, you might get additional question for passing the data. First of all, let's create a table. It's kind of an upload. You can take data from the source, from the Prism and upload in the Workday. Exactly. It works in that way. It takes the data from the update. Let's create a table first. Create a table and the table name is Name as d-well worker data, use existing table or data set. Let's use this one only, the basic one, for now. This, we can use it, we will give it save. First of all, how we create a table and not. We discussed in the previous session also, we create a table. Yes. When we create a table, we choose the path. We can edit the schema of it. I think we have discussed it earlier but just I will have a refresher of it. When you create a table, when you create a data set, it will ask for a source and it will load the data. When in table, it's completely different. And it will ask for a schema for first. When I give it save, here if I go to view tables, here it's asking for create data change task. Here it's loading the data. Now here you can see no data has been copied. When we create a derived dataset or base dataset, data will be getting loaded immediately. But it's able, it doesn't happen. When you saw there was an option to create a data change task. Data change task, we can create it. We get an option to create data change task from the table itself. If you don't want to create from table, you can go to data catalog. And in data, since task we have to go or create here, create data change task. And now here choose the connections. Our connection was what? Workday report. Here Workday report will enter the Workday report, the same which we entered previously, DV worker. Data target table is which you created. Here you can see automatically all the fields has been mapped. Here the source file is 13 and the target of file is 18. There is a difference of 5 fields over here, but which 5 fields are there? These are the BPA files. This won't match because you also know that this won't match because these are the WPA files. This won't get generated in the data test. Here we do to the mapping. You can see the first step was to identify the source. In the source, we were asked regarding to choose the source between the variety of it. If I go back, I will show you. If I go to change connection, you can see file upload for the report, data catalog SFTP. Amazon S3, Salesforce and Snowflakes are the new additions. Amazon S3 and Salesforce were there. Sorry, this was there. These two are new additions. Basically, it's nothing. It's just in connection. It's just providing a new capability to connect directly from other system. What happens is, let's say I have to connect my system from any other Workday with another system I can directly connect. Snowflake is a data warehouse tool. Majorly it is used for HCM and payroll data. Snowflake store data. And Salesforce is used for CRM data. In that, all the customer lead, who are the good customer? It's a basically CRM customer relationship manager or something that. The full form is that way. It's managed, it manages the customer and their sales, how the sales goes. Amazon S3 is something different. Basically, things all the system over here we can see. Choose any of them. If we see the presentation here, what we did is we identified the source. And the target table, the table with the data you want to change using the source data, which though we will use the source and according to the source which data it showed. Target 2. You can either create a table when you create a data since task just create table. For data sources schema button. Basically, we're creating a table and then we are creating a data change task. Then get what target, create table from source schema, and that's how the table is already filled with the data. Yes, in that table will be there, but it will only copy the schema. Let's say if I show you here, when we create a table, it will create only the schema and it won't load the data into it. But for loading the data, we need to create a data change task. We use the reference of the derived data set as in to load the schemas into it. We can also load the data as let me. I don't know why it's taking time. Thank you. Yes, here you can see. When you create a table, you can see there's no data reflected. Yes, if I go to tables here, there is no data reflected. When we created the source, what we did is we created a schema. Schema as in that there should be a field with the name of employee and it should be text field. There should be a field with worker and its field type should be instance. Legal name should be there, which is text. And there should be dependence as which is a multi-instance. Basically, here we are defining the schema of the table when we choose the source of it. But when you want to load the data, we need to do the created data change task. When you create a table, we will choose the schema first. And when we choose a schema, then for the rest of the load, we will do the create data change task. Let's say here we choose the source. We identified that going forward in this particular schema, this particular data should be loaded. It's data that DV worker data. Then we give next table, we give next and mapping 13 out of 13 fields are mapped. Here 13 are there and here are also 13 are there. Here it is not necessary that we match all of them. Let's say if I do this, don't want to match any of them, I can remove it as it's not necessary. It depends on my requirement. Here also and here rename it. Here what rename is, here mention that. Here mention data, chains are insert or load. Data load. Here we are not mentioning any tags or something. We can name a tag and description as if there's any particular description to it and give a plan. Then after the mapping, we will get a review. In review, we can decide that we have to see what kind of operations we want to do. We have to review that. What is the name of it? API name, source and mapping, and then we can finish. Here we will give two options, save and run now or save. If we give save and run now, it will save and run the integration. That will load the data into the table. Here you can see that it's retrieving the data from the source of the table and will get the data. If you go here, the data is 0. If you see after some time, I will get loaded. When we go to data change activities, here we can see all the data since activities which are taking place. There are recurring data change activities. As those recurrings, we can see that whether the data change task has been done or not. Sometimes the data change task field, we have to manually run them. How many run them? Need to go to the data sense task. Let's hit this. I will show you. This is running. I can go on it and give a run on it. This is activity. You can go to data sense task from here. Descending. Let's say I want to run this, I can give run now. When I get run now, at that time this table will get loaded with the DV worker data, the source and the target table you can see over. Here that some people have used the file as a source and target as this table, I use a derived dataset. This symbol is for desired dataset or base dataset, any of them that you see. This we can do it. Let's see if that process has been completed. White field. That's interesting. What is it? Prism activates monitor. Thank you. Thank you. There's no message but only showing execute data change. Task load failed. Let me show that. There is no specific reason. Pause our runtime expression for calling data API on an expected response. Let me see the report. The report might also be old. Let me check the report. You can create a copy of it that it has the, because it is a temporary report. Let me see. That might also give this error. It's not able to recall that particular data which is causing this issue. This is a temporary port automatically delete after 10 return DL. And it's actually data for deleting is this one. Let me create a copy of it and then drag in. Copy. Advanced option. It's enabled for everything. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think it should work. It's taking more time than usual. This also failed. Return data from source plus view. There's some activities. Thank you. I think there's some technical issue because it's not able to call the report. Let me try with something else. If it's the same for that one, Prism is not very stable. Maybe that's why. Exactly. Prism is not stable for this. Sign it up and upload. First load will always be an insert. It will insert first and then when we create it. We'll get the top 10. Let's see here, we can see the fields. There's no data, but it will soon load the. I believe for this small amount of data, it shouldn't be taking this much time because we only created an Excel issue. If we show you here, it's only 3 rows and I don't know why it's taking this much time for small data. Load complete. And pros was added. This is correct. We get that all. It was correct for this one. Here we got all this data. And now let's create a data sense task. Select a file. Here what we can do is we can open this file and we can mention Teresa 2 times. With some minor detail modification, Teresa here is 4. And the rest we can keep as it is. This is weekend 2020. Yes, it doesn't look a duplicate now, the 2020. Yes, exactly. We are just keeping it unique. Yes, letting it. Upload. I don't know why this is having some issue. This is not stable, it seems. I'm not able to. Last time also you're not able to upload a file over here. See, error is completely unknown. And he said this is a txt file. You actually see it, but it says it doesn't gonna upload it, just that. Basically it supports all the file. If I select on it, it will see all the custom files. All files you can see. There's no any limitation to it that I can't upload a CSV file. But txt, if it's there, it should work. It will automatically understand the format. Because you remember, here also we created table. If I show you the table, this table we also created by uploading the text file, only the file data. When we created this table, when we loaded this data over here with this 3 rows, we uploaded with that text file only. It seems that there are some restrictions for data tense task. Just not getting it picked for this one. I have this in this file. Format also, this is which format. Let me see if the part works. No, it's not taking any of the file formats. Let me try saving into the file saver. Now we are in CSV. This is an icon for CSV file. We can go for data. It's not picking up any of them. If you open this is a CSV file. Exactly. I think there's some restriction from the PISM and we are not able to perform this particular task. I will check with the technical team with this because this is something on a tenant end, or maybe they have added some restrictions. Meanwhile, I will just give an overview till then, theoretically, which we can discuss it. When we create an operation, it will first of all insert will happen because already we know that the data there is no any data available. It won't do any delete, truncate and insert, update, upset. It has to insert the data only here on these and in the third row. But for the remaining data change task, let's say there's already a data available in that table. It will ask us for the remaining ones. Delete. It won't ask for delete as in delete, but truncate, insert, update and upsert. Then there's a mapping. Mapping, we saw, we map the fields for both the source and target. Let's say there are 15 fields in the source and there are 13 rows in the target table. Then we have to map it accordingly that we want to use which fields according to the requirement. Here's the data change activity. Data, what is data change activity? When you run a data change activity, it generates a data change activity log. Here when we see the log, we can see what are the activities happened. If I run this particular table, I ran it twice. 2 records will show and also show how many records got published into it. Here 2 rows got published. Here also 2, here 15 rows got published. This is loaded by someone else. There's existing data available, it's loading by that only. I can see here, many of the files has been filled. Here edit, it shows me the log basically, if in case I want to check it. I will check over here, it happens when I run the integration. Here's a quick tip when we have a dependency from the other system. Let's say created the data, set a lineage. I'm storing a data somewhere. What I will do is I will create a data since that once the all my lineage work has been completed, it should store into the table. To store into the table, I will use the data change task. That is the last step I will use or in the beginning as any of them. During that, sometimes what happens is that, let's say I give truncate and insert once. Remove the data completely and load with the new data. What happens is sometimes in the integration, there was no file detected. During this, there is no data available and will truncate. Insert, it will truncate first of all, but while inserting there won't be data and the dataset, data change task will fail because it did a task for truncating but inserting. It doesn't have data, it will don't show the data and will ask us as blank. All. How I will know that is it loaded with the correct data or not? I can see it from the rows. Yes, Data change task is very helpful in getting this information, this insights over here. Regarding the connection is basically the connection which you established from the different one system. This is SAP to Workday load which I created earlier. Basically, what to create a connection? You can go to create and connection. Connection is creating a connection. I will show you. I will give edit. When I create a data change task over here, it will ask me for the SFTP details. When I want to do a SFTP connection, it won't ask me the details again. When I go to edit Prism SFTP connection, here it will ask me, hello, you there? Yes, I'm here. Here it will. I have set up a SFTP connection. I have named it SAP to Workday load. It is getting data from SAP and loading into the Workday. Here I will mention the file name. Every time when I will do it, it will look for this particular. A file name, I can also name it dynamic. Let's say I want to name it dynamic. Let's say your data. And the date and there's a date and that date changes every time depending on the day. Let's say if the file has been loaded today, it will be 11/11. If it's tomorrow, it will be 12/11 that. Again, mention those dynamic things into the star. In that case, it will exit. It won't consider those particular data while searching it. It will only stick how it will do it. I will do this. I will mention star. I'll mention 0. This, what it will do is it won't search for this exact thing. It will escape. This is a escape, correct. What it will look is for the arg data only. Once it looks for the arg data, says V. I have mentioned the format as in some cases, it will be peep as YGEEP. When someone loads the data into any SFTP, then they do encryption of it. The file is in the CSV format, but where encryption, the file is not in a readable format and has a key by which it got encrypted. That we will show that person who is loading the data is loading the data in a encrypted way, and we have to decrypt it later. On while uploading the file, when it stores into SFP, it's into the encrypted format. Only what's the reason when someone sends the data to SFP and when someone retires the data from SEP during this ingestion, when we are inserting the data and pulling the data there. Chances that our data might got leaked. In that case, to avoid it, we use a PGP key for the encryption. Who looks after the encryption? The person who is providing us the file looks after the encryption of it. I will discuss. It basically means that somebody is sharing that file with us using SAP. Yes, SAP, they will share the file, but they will not directly share SAP. As SAP to Workday, they will create an SAP folder. SAP folder is secure file. Transfer protocol, which is a cloud folder. It's a cloud folder over there. They will keep a file. Let's say if I keep a file in downloads, if I go to downloads and downloads, I have kept this file. If I see the address, I kept my file over here. If I say mercy and go and file this file worker data in the downloads, you will be able to relocate because this is shared with you. This is a cloud folder. It is shared with you. Similarly, there is a cloud folder which is known as SFPP that I can't directly go with the link. It will ask me for a credential. Let's say if I go that machine, go to this PC and go to download. But this is the address, this PC and download. When you click on it, it will ask for your credentials, username and password. That is the secure. That is what secure file transfer protocol means. that is secured by username and password. Once you enter the password, you will be able to access the files. STPs are generally SFTP file Walmart. This is just an example for Walmart. But when we see the normal website will be HTTP. Here, if I show you, see here HTTP colon does / is there. This is a website. This is a website. It's a website where you log into things and do all the things, but CEFP is not a website. CEFP is a folder Cloudways. Folder which you're accessing it. This is the address of CEFP address and here's a directory. Directory as in dig into it to a particular folder. Let's say if I show you here. This PC, assume that this PC is a website, and as I dig in, let's say I go to local, let's say, go to C drive, I go to program files, I go to Java. This is my directory, it's C program files, Java. Directory as in the address of it basically. If I want to file the file JDK11, I have to go to C program files and then Java in order to access this JDK11 file. Here what I will do is I will mention the address that once you reach this website, go to the data, there will be data folder. In data folder, go to the port folder and report folder. You will be able to find this or data.csv. It's all part of the folder with the file. Yes, it's a path. It's a path to find the folder. Then use a temp file. There's that. Here it's gonna allow the file to be overridden only when it's finished. Here what happens is avoid the external system from attempting to read the file before it has been fully uploaded. It uses a temp file. It creates a temporary file. It avoids external system from attempting to read file before it has been fully uploaded. Let's say 2 people are pulling this file. When you are doing it, it avoids it basically. It allows the file to be overwritten only when it finishes the uploading to external site. It's overwritten, or it will create a copy of it. And when someone else is pulling, it won't show it at that time. It basically means that one operation at a time. It's an optional thing. It's not necessary. And here mention username and password. Username and password will use the one which has been provided with a client. Generally, user and password are subjective. It's not necessary that it will be. Let's say if it's shared with a team. There are 2 scenarios. One that you will have your individual user and password. The second one you will be assigned with. You will be assigned with for the team and one for the individual ones. Individual as in you will have your personal ones. And in some cases it will have same for the whole team. Generally, I have seen that in the team people share the credential because creating each and everyone's profile is tricky to do it and it's very costly for the same. Also, and not all the people will use this FTP folder every time. By username and password. Password, it will have to access the CEFP. Based upon the access, you will be able to see the files. Then there's an SES login. If I click on it, here also user aid is there and there's a key pair. Basically, it's also a key by which you will be able to log in. It's a login method basically. Generally, username and password is widely used. Here username is there in to enter a password. And we have to verify the password. Once we've done it, it will save. Then file utility. Delete after retrieval. Here, what we need to do is after we get the file, what should happen? It should delete the file after retrieval. Decompress it or decrypt. As I mentioned you, in the earlier session we discussed that when we upload a file from any further derived data set or base data set, Basically, automatically, Workday will decompress the file. Now when we create a decompress, when you create a deco, I know that I have entered into ZIP file. I entered decompress, it will not process the file directly, but it decompress it first. Once it decompress it, it will then ask for whether it should be decrypted or not. As I mentioned here, the file is in CSV. We may not require to decrypt this because here it's in the CSV format. But let's say it is a PGP encrypted format. We need to decrypt it into the particular one. Here they provide is with the key pair. If I open the key, for understanding, let me see. If it's visible, it has a validity that it should be varied from this date to this date. This is the encryption key when they provide us with the PB key. We need to create a PP that this is a begin P key at the end. This is basically into a coded format which is not understandable by us, but it shows how the data is being encrypted and how it can be decrypted. Let's say if you might be aware of that. If I type Zalim1, then in some cases it's as decrypted as if it's a 0, 0 if it's 0, 1, 0. It should be is B, this is what this is encryption aware and this is encryption aware. Decryption aware, first of all, what we are doing is we are telling that a computer that if a comes, you should name it as Zalarun1, that this we did. Encryption away, and now when you want to decrypt it when the 1001, we will do 1002, this is just a very basic example. The encryption is very complex and we won't be able to read it, because if you will be able to read it, there won't make any sense that to encrypt it because it's not in a readable format. It's meant to be spread, yes, it's meant to be not in to be readable in that way, exactly only the system will be able to understand it and will be able to decrypt it. This key is being provided by the provider because they have encrypted it from their end only. They provide us with a key, that which key they need to do, we need to create that encryption. And we need to pull it over here because only the person who is a data administrator will do this configuration. Why? Because this key is very crucial, they can't share it with everyone. What they do is they share with the functional team or the person who is look after the data administrator, who governs the data into the Workday. They generally create this key and tell them that use this key for the future reference. That then there's a force integrity. Check that if there's a data is or not. That digital signature where they're using, if it's from, it will verify that whether it is from any valid source or not. The PGB certificate is valid source or there's a sign, which let's say there's a stamp in the end of it for a particular. It will validate or not. These are not mandatory ones, but these are the utility ones. And there's an restriction as an environment restriction that this particular connection will work in your particular environment. It should work in prod and should work in sandbox and test. Let's say if I'm testing any file and I'm receiving any file from sandbox for testing, but let's say I have completed my working, I'm migrated to prod. Here for production, there might be some different address SFTP. I can mention that this FTP connection should only work for the sandbox and implementation. Once I migrated to another tenant, let's say migrated to prod during that scenario, it shouldn't work because this FTP folder, it's assumed that it's only for the test file only, but for the production file, which are the production file, they have a separate directory to it. It's a report, this might be test, and for the reproduction it might be prod. It depends on the scenario that what you're looking for. If you are considering configuration in production, it will production. What does this mean? That it should only work in this particular environment only. If it's apart from this environment, let's say if it's production, it won't work. If it's testing, it won't work. In which strength it should work, it will mention, and then we will create. When we create it, we'll then use this connection to do the working. To pull the file. Any questions for this one? No, I think not. Let me check here. I was just wondering. Maybe it's a question that only a little bit touches on the topic, but when you look at this exactly, Amazon S3, for example, I understand that the Workday is a system that manages the data for HR. It's going to be employee data. What kind of information does the Workday might want to take from Salesforce, for example? In Salesforce, what happens is generally Salesforce data has been integrated, the finance data. Salesforce is a CRM, I am not able to recall the exact name of CRM full form. Basically, CRM deals with the sales data. Customer is main. Yes, the performance customer relationship management. What happens is generally the sales data, the sales people or finance people generally connects data with Salesforce. It has all the leads. It is help for lead generation. Let's say if I have generated a lead, let's say I work for a transport company and I have got a contract to transport my goods from Europe to US. There's a customer ABC. He's customer for me. I will enter the customer. It's a lead for me unless the business is finalized. It's a lead. Lead as in potential client. That customer ABC is a potential client. I will enter the detail to the crumb. In that I can manage all my customers at one time at one place. Once that customer is fine, I can negotiate over that again, give the quotation on it and do all the working that it will cost you around $1 lakh or 1 million for transporting this particular shipment to one place to another. Once that done, the deal is closed, then I will mention that I closed this deal with how much money. Now integrate this particular thing with my finance data that I sold. This service or this good, this particular company or particular client, how much revenue got generated from it, and I will match it with the finance data that whether it is matching or not with all accounts and all. This both are different things, it's not the same. Customer Relationship Manager management is a tool which manages the customer data and its transaction related to it. And by Workday. Finances, it will have the finance data, as we know that Prism has the main function of Prism. Is too much different sums together. Here we are merging Salesforce data with the finance data. Exactly makes sense now, and it can be also used in another way, as let's say if I want to do the evaluation of the sales team, that I want to give the bonus to the workers at the end of the year through the sales team. What I will do is I will pull the data from Workday for all the workers who are into the sales team. I got the worker data from the sales team and I will pull the data from CRUM, that which worker attracted the maximum plant, or let's say which worker generated the maximum revenue. Let's say there's a in sales teams as a person who has helped in getting the client, who has helped the company getting the profit of, let's say, 10 million, 20 million, that they can reward it with something. Yes, they don't have to do the manually because definitely the Mink has very huge sales team. They might have 1,000, 2,000 people working into it. It's manually, it's hard to review. They then integrate this whole thing into one. That and then they can do the mapping. Let's say previously you created that cal field for the understanding of how we can mention. We can do the mapping the 3, 2, 1. For the total base pay, we created the cal field last week. We can create something similar, but based upon the as a make Mazink. We have a metric of sales data that they did the maximum, and previously in that the call field which we created used the performance data as the benefit data to evaluate that how much increment they should get. That's for increment. Here we are talking about the bonus. We can use that sales data, use it as a test metric, and we can evaluate that this person should have 10% bonus of their 20% of their base pay. How much? It's a one-time bonus. Here also, if I go to SFTP in the data, as in starts, I can go to SFTP. It won't work for now, but I'll just show you. Change connection. See, here you can see we are getting our data. Here it is asking that changes correction are different might invalid. It's asking that previously selected report and now you're using this FTP. It might be different. You want to go ahead and discard the existing configuration. I can confirm. But I know that in SFTP I haven't entered any. I've entered dummy data. It won't work. I will give cancel. But I can use this connection to connect with FTP as any questions regarding this? No, I want to go through the mapping process later, but maybe not today. It is going to be working next time then. This is interesting because mapping, what is that? I can only map a text with text. It's not comparing with the name. I would just reiterate it again. That's good that you brought it up. In mapping, it will only match with the field types, not with the name. Let's say, if you click over here, you can see all the text files. I can also map legal first name with the employee ID because see here, Workday doesn't understand that legal first name is not an employee ID. Obviously, it's not a match, but it matches depending on the name. First, it will see if the name are identical, it will map it. Otherwise, it will see the text files. You can see this is a text field. I am getting text option. But on the other hand, if I click on worker, it will only give me single instance. Here only one. Single instance is there for hide it. I'll only get only hide it. How many are there? Only one date. If field is there, it is only given one for age, also numeric 1. I will get only one. This is how it works. It matches day based upon the field type and not the names. It will automatically identify, not an issue. I can rematch it. I can clear all. See, I can do a clear all. Here you can see 0 out of 13 are matched. I can rematch it. When I do a rematch, Workday will automatically match all the things. Which are the possible solutions? It has seen that in target table age is there. And there is something related to age over here as it will map it. When it says that you have 13 on 13, it doesn't mean that you have a file and there was 13 rows in that file or column. And when you mapping, you don't have to choose them all because you can choose that you only want an 8 or 5. Is that correct? Basically, it maps according to target table. Let's say in target, there are 10 fields. And here in source, let's say it's 13. It will only show here map 10 out of 10 only, not more than that. See, let's say if I do a clear. See, if I do clear, you can see this is 0 and this is 13. Here the rest 13. It is counting, but here I can see 18. Why? Because these are OPE files. These are of offer. No use, it won't count as in the mapping. That's why it is giving me 13 zo is this zo. Files and 13 as in this 13. Let's say the source is 13 and let's say it exceeded to. Let's say 15, but here we will only match up to 13. Let's say if it's here, it is v in source we have. Let's say 20 also. Let's say in this source we have 20, but still it will only let us map 13 only. Because in target we using 13 fields. What decides the target? Is it always the constant that there is target 18 fields or not? Sorry, I didn't go to repeat. The target 18 fields, is it a constant or does it change based on size? Something, because I see view by all targets fields 18 when you click on that option. View by where? There exactly where there all targets fields 18 view by. Yes, by, it's a view by as in unmapped I will be, let's say. In some cases there are 20-30 fields, it's hard to scroll them. It's view by as in, it's filtering out there. Let's say I mapped. Let's say I mapped employee over here and now I want to see how many is pending. What I want is I click on this and I will see unmapped. It will help me filter it out, the data that these are the unmapped files. But I will now I want to see the mapped files. I will be able to see mapped files now here. Another thing is, let's say, want to see how many fields are instance where you click on it and I found that worker gender. These are the instance file. It's easy for me to map this thing. I will be able to map this genders. Yes, now I complete with this one. Now I will do with the only date. I have 3 but only one is valid for this is the Wupal load. Stamps, these are not eligible for mapping. That's why it is coming 13, 18 are there and remaining 5 are UP loads. That's why it's not coming. I can map it. Basically, UBI is basically filtering out the data, how I want to see this, but I have to map this all of them. Let's say it won't complete the complete mapping. Here is saying that mapping map field 6, unmapped field 7 here. That is the thing we need to map things correctly over here. I can reset the matches, it automatically do the remap. I hope you got this mapping part here. I can also see the by this column as, let's see if this is confusing. I can see by scrolling over here that this is a target fields and these are the source. This is a sample data which I can see over here. Currently the sample data is not visible because we haven't loaded the data into this one. That's why we are not able to see it. Otherwise be able to see it here because the source data is not visible and that there is no data in the table as if we do for the for it file. It won't work. That is the thing. In the last session, we discussed regarding the data change task in the SFTP and how we can configure it, how we can configure the data change task, how we can configure SFTP into it and what is the process of doing it. We covered all the topics, but we are facing while uploading the file. I checked with internally. Regarding this, basically, because it's a demo tenant, we won't be able to perform that task into it. Because there are certain recurring tasks or certain tasks which are restricted in demo tenants due to some security reasons. Because of that, we won't be able to create a not successfully load the data into the data change task. That's a restriction for the demo tenant at the moment. But we have almost covered everything by creating it. I will just show you that when we run the report, only the data will get loaded. That's the whole process. Everything will be the same. Basically, we have covered it in a way that if you go ahead and create in practical scenarios, you won't face any issue in that. Let me show this task to you once again. Let me pick my example itself. Yes, as we mentioned, when we create a data change task, I will just give again a brief overview that you have a better understanding on it. When we create a data change task, get a source to create from where to fetch the data. We will select the source. You see, I'm not able to see the report over here. That means it's not enabled for Prism. We need to do that at the first thing. And still, let's say in new tab I create one. I can refresh it. Let's say if I don't want to pick the report, I want to pick something else. File upload data from data catalog. I want any derived dataset or base datasets data. I can select it. Or by SSTP or any connectors. Once this is the source is selected and this is chosen. After that, I can go to target. And here I can select what is the target table. And when I scroll down here, I will get a target operation what I need to do. It is suggested when you create a data change task. It is advised that you create an insert one or create an insert because already the table will blank. It would make sense to. It won't make sense to just run it and insert. Once you save and run it, post that you can come again and save the target operations. Here Workday provides a definition regarding what the target operation means. Insert is Workday, keeps existing data in the target table and adds to the data from the sources. Basically, it's appending the date by keeping the existing data. Let's say selected Prankit and insert. It will show me Workday deletes all existing data in the target table and replaces it with the data from the source. But from it I can go to delete. Workday deletes data from the target table based on the data from the source. It will delete the data based upon the source. Let's say Workday deletes data from target level based on data from. If the same data is available, it will delete it. Then there is an update. Update means Workday updates existing data in the target table based on the data from the source. Let's say if there are 5 workers, data is available and the source has 10 workers. The target table won't change. From 5 worker data to 10 why? Because in update only the 5 workers data will be updated. Let's say there are existing 5 workers and let's say their address changed, their location country changed, their phone number changed. Only those changes will be detected and that only will be changed. There won't be any change in the number of rows. The number of rows will be as it is. That's why it says that it will only update the existing data. It won't entertain any new data into it. This is also a very useful part where there are too many recurrent changes into the existing data. Let's say when we are dealing with any particular data in which it's required that data shouldn't get refreshed, but the existing data keeps on updating. Here we can do that. Then we go to absurd. Absurd is interesting. They insert the data from the source if doesn't. Exist in target table and update the data if it does. It is basically a version of insert. And update. That's why its name is absurd. It first of all, what it will do is it will check. The existing data is available. Let's say if there's a worker with employee Leonard 1, it will check that is there in data with the 101. If yes, it will update the same record. It won't create a new row for it, and if there's any no new record. If let's say 101 employee is not available, it will create a new entry for it. Its target would be first to update it, but if it doesn't find any existing record for that particular worker or data, it will create it will insert a new data into it. Any questions? In understand the target operations, I also mentioned this. Go ahead, Masan. When absert is finding the tab with, for example, 6 columns, and he realized the 7th column is not existent. But he has it. He's gonna just add this column. For example, with the absert, if you have a 6 column in the top, you can add the 7th plus. Maybe something on the 6th. Yes, let me show an example to you, pretty much easy. Are you able to see the Excel file? I do see our file. Let's say this is a source. This is source data, and this is a target data. And target data already has a data. Let's say it has worker LUN 1002. La1003. Likewise, the source file will also have this data, but there will be an addition 1005. And let's assume that that only we have, in this we have we have worker name. Thank you. Here we can see that majorly we have this 2 or 3 columns in the source and 3 columns in source and 2 columns into the target. Now we are performing the absurd. In absurd, what will happen is, first of all, it will see what are the Matching data available. It will check for all the matching data, and if not, it will update it. Let's say here is target. Here is a source and we are performing a data change task over here with upset operation. What will happen? First of all, it will see that what are the matching things available. It will see employee and worker columns are there. Yes, it's there. It will directly pull this over here and it will paste it directly here because the two columns are available. First of all, it will work on a column based. Then it will see that employee and worker are there, but country is not there. It will update. It will first of all what it did. First of all, it identified that already the data is available. The which data was available, employee and worker column was available. It kept it as it is because it didn't had any changes and saw that is country there, no country. Is not there, it is just inserting the country. This is being updated and this is being updated and this is being inserted. Now it will see for the records. Now it says that N1 is available. Yes, it's available. It will directly pull from here and paste it over here. Now it will see that here for this 1001 worker country data is available and here it's not available. What it would do is it will update the data. It will update the data for worker 1001. Likewise, it will do for this. For this worker, following worker, it's updating the data for already the worker details are there for ABC, but country was missing for them. It's updating data for them. It's not creating a new Nile. It's not being this. Let me show. It can also happen this. If I do insert will be this. There will be two records. If we only give insert, which is appending the data, then I will have two records 1001 before this and after this one. But here what it does is it is working smartly. It is doing absurd. It is updating existing data, and if the data is not available, then only it will. Then only it is updating the inserting new data. Here we can see that now the data for ABC worker has been updated and not been inserted. Updated the engine, this column data was missing. They updated the column data. Apart from that, it saw that there is no record available for these two workers. It tried to match, but no match was found. That's why it got inserted. Any questions in understanding this? Let's just say that in the country, in the source, instead of a user, they have a new. It's going to put the new 2. Yes, it will also pull this particular column. Yes, it will pull that column as. If somebody pulls, I don't know, a lot of columns with the nulls, it's good to take a look first at the source instead of uploading it, because it might be a lot of not useful data. Basically, it will also look for nulls as, let's say here, if I say that, if I consider here, let's say there are no columns as country. Let's say here country is also there. Let's imagine a scenario that is country is there. But here there is no data available. It will be null. Here also null. And here the data was, let's say Poland was there. This is the only difference. Now here we can see that there will be no update of the column, but all what updation of the data. The target is a null or that. This is the existing data null Poland and the new data which is getting inserted updated. It will replace, this null will replace by USA and USA. Same. It will also consider null as, because null is just for understanding, because Prism has some relation with the SQL because when we make a query, make a function in SQL. Also, they refer the blanks as null because blank might be difficult to understand when. But if not difficult to understand, but sometimes for the system, it's hard to process. It's important not to pass any blank thing. Yes, because blank also contains some meaning. It's we see in terms of the data. In some data types, blank also means something. That's why null is a standard way to identify that. There is nothing available in it, no data is available for that. I understand. Also, it makes the data cleansing also easy. Let's say you want to filter out all the data which doesn't have any particular data available. Let's say countries not available can filter by no's because not every system is able to identify blanks. Makes sense. Any questions here? No, that's I understand. Here we discuss on a target operation. Once we discuss the target operation, which to choose. Then we go to, when you go to mapping, in mapping we map the files and as we discussed. Here when we do view, it makes this filter very easy for us to filter it out what kind of data we want to see date value and text what kind of data. Basically just filter or here just for our reference only just for the mapping it does. It doesn't actually filter the data, it filters it. Temporarily that we can sort the data. Let's say you want to do the mapping of only text or booleans. Here I will give text, it will only show this one, but here you can see there is. Still the source are 13 out of 13. These are the 18 fields and here mapping also is 13 out of 13. The count is 8. It's just for sorting the data that we can do the mapping easily. Once this is done, we can go to review. Here we can review. Are all the things that what? What is the name of the data thing starts? What is the source, source type, target and what is the target type and what operations you are performing? Insert, upsert, target and insert, delete. And what is the mapping status? How many fields has been mapped? It is not necessary to map all the fields. It is not compulsory to map all the fields. It depends on our requirement how many we want to map it. Let's say we want to only map. Let's say I have a requirement I will give you. A best example of it. Let's say I have a scenario where the location of the worker keeps on changing. This detail will remain the same, the location. And phone number of the worker keeps on changing depending on the role they are working. Because they are into sales, their location keeps on changing and also their phone number changes. Based upon the location, the country code, basically for that, what I will do is I will select a source in which exclusively the worker data will be available. Just for the identification purpose only. And the remaining data will be only regarding phone number and location. Which are the location based. And I will give the target. And here I will only map location and address only. Location, address and phone number. And I will give here update or upset. I will give upset only. By this, what will happen is it will update the existing data for that worker and not change whole data because we want to keep the data intact. But there are frequent changes into the phone number and location. That's why we will give upset. Here we are not updating whole table but only few column data. because the target data will have all multiple columns. We can remove all of them and you can map only the one which are required, and only those will be only updated. Was this example helpful for you to understand the mapping part? That how we can map in different scenarios. What about this changing location, primary work, mobile phone number? Yes, that is. I was referring to that. Let's say the primary work phone number is only changing. Change. You can only keep that particular map field and we can update. Here let's say the change happens. The change takes place into the Workday. In Workday, we can change our name. You might be aware that we can. In Workday, we can change our name. We can change the phone number. We can run different business processes. We can change all the personal information. Let me go to any profile and show it to you. When you go to any worker's profile, depending on the access, if we have the security to see the data for the people, we will be able to see this data. Worker history. Logan McNeil doesn't have that record, but if as I show you all the details, all the things in for the worker, all the worker history will be shown over here. What are the worker history? Worker history are all the business processes. Processes which takes place for the worker. Let's say managed certification happened. The worker underwent for any particular certification, then it's a business process will come business. Processes are basically the steps of how to complete a particular thing. Logan McNeil. Requested flexible work arrangement. Currently people are working on hybrid working. Hybrid or teleworking. Based upon that, she requested this one and this was assigned to different. If we can assign this to the manager or HR partner who will approve this flexible working arrangement. Now here's the work contact change. If I open it, this is what I was referring to. Here see work contact changed twice. Here it changed, work contact changed. Here also on 39 it changed. In 2 days it changed twice in 2 days. By here you can see that the worker has 14 out of 491 worker history records, business processes. There are 14 times this worker has changed its work and home contact details. Considering this, I will create a report or I will ask the reporting team to create a report in Workday which will only batch this contact changes. I will plug it over here in the data change task. I will use the target table in which only the contact details and location details will be updated on it, and then refute. Because generally I update whole table on, let's say 15 days or a monthly basis. I don't update it. But I want the location data to be updated on a daily basis. For that I will just run this data change task for contact details daily. But for whole data, I will run the data change task separately, which will cover all the other fields as on a monthly basis. By this I will have the data readily available. This is happening in the report. When you generate the report, this data will be a refresh from what you did. Basically, I have to create a report. Basically, the reporting team looks after it that they create a report which only fetch this contact details of this business process. That are the changes in this or not. Can we actually create such a report? Or we don't have enough time? No, actually, we have to go from its 2 levels down to here. To identify, because we have to go to worker. Then we are going to go to worker history and this particular business process, and I want to face this. It actually takes minimum 2-3 hours to create it. It might include creating some type of field as hello, yes, I can hear you. I was thinking if this is possible to create such a report. Yes, it is definitely possible to create a report. But if we will create now, it is as I told you, it's a time consuming one. Minimum, it might take 2-3 hours to create it because we have to test that scenarios as that we need to consider because we have to, though it seems easy that it's from work of profile and we are extracting the data from here. But if we see in terms of business object, this thing is regarding the action event. We are on worker profile and let's say we want to pull anything on. On this, we can pull on worker profile. I can do one thing just to show you. I can create a very high level report quickly and to show, but not on worker but on action event, that you will have understanding that. How then dress processes can be done to refine that output. Thank you. Is going to show all the business processes. Yes, we won't show all the business process when run the report. It will prompt us for the criteria. Here I will mention that work contact. It will fetch all the worker who has work contact change. And then I will mention the transaction status successfully completed because there might be some failure as it will cover. It would be better to do one of the student progress. What I mean, for example, hey, people who have a change but it wasn't approved yet and you want to rush the people to approve them. That would be, I think, more practical. Let's see if I find any in progress fields. There might be no. Because generally people when they do it, let's say in some cases they have due date. Let's say here this G or competency is there, it is a due date. The person has initiated on 5/9 and it has roughly 15 days to complete it. But then we complete it on 5/9. Only there are due dates to it, that and I think contact also there. Might be some due date. Let me check. It would be good to find people for example, don't have a transaction approved yet, but they do. They are ready. A past I hope it doesn't happen, but generally it will. The notification will send it across to the manager who is the approver of it that you have. Some pending task and please approve the details. See here in home contact, some has due dates. Here the due date is 10/10. Here the due date is 9. Basically, it's only have due date of only 1 days. And depending on the business process it will have. You can see the competency. It has due date for 15 days from the initiation date. But here home contact, from the initiation date, it has only 1 day for the due date. 1 day extra for the due date. How do you decide that? At what point is decided what is the due date? It's on a functional end, basically. The person who designs the business process from the scratch in Workday. They mention these criteria that do you want to add a due date or not, or what. Over there they will be able to see that. Let's see if I go to action and let me see if I'm able to perform those tasks. It won't let me do for it because it's restricting it. Otherwise, it will ask me for the details. What happens is this is a demo tent and sometimes people ask for the learning. They do something productive, but there are people who sometimes change the language too. Something very different. On the sake of experimenting things, they just change it to Chinese or Japanese that, or change the name of Logan McNeil completely. That might affect the other people's working as because it's a demo tenant. And I shared with others as, no, I was thinking because we are her, we are this O'Neill. The user we are using is she, maybe we cannot do changes for ourselves, but changing the address should be something you can do for yourself. Yes, for the self also we can do it. Let me check for the self also because here this has been restricted from the tenant side. It's not that the security is restricting us. One thing is that security is restricting us that you can't change it. Others people's contact information. Let me check with. Let me see if it's same security point of view. It's not from a security point of view, but it's from the tenant side. It's rejecting us from doing it. Here we have logged in as Logan McNeil only. But we are as low as a taking access from Logan's side as we are not able to do it. It's something very different. Let's go with the all successfully completed ones which has been completed because there will be too many records for it. We mentioned or contact change. Then mention successfully completed. And mention that its event effective was from January onwards. Otherwise, this report will take long to run. We have 51 records who has changed their details in it. If I open this and to see what details she has updated, here we brought the worker details, what business process it worked for and its effective date. Now we can create a cal field. By extracting more details of it, that what things changed. I can go over here, they can see. And pull what things has changed. Here you can see that primarily this details has been changed, alternate work location has been updated, phone number, Details was previously blank. It has been selected. That is this phone number primary or not? The phone number has been added. The visibility has been made to public. Previously there was no phone number at all. The worker added the phone number marked as primary phone number. It's not a secondary. 1, it's a primary phone number. It marked it and make it visible for all the people. Here, this detail has been updated. Let's see for the other workers. Let's see for Diego. For Diego also, the contact detail has been changed. The details have not changed, but added it basically. Details has been added, this thing. Let's see if we get any changes as that if someone is changing the contact. No, but basically what will happen is, let's say if someone is changing it, this blue dot will come. Let's say someone changed their phone number, blue dot will come. And then you updated phone number will come and it will be written as added. If it's added, but let's say if it's replaced with existing detail, this particular row will be there and the new row will be there, which will have a red cross with. The same will be there, but in the below line, a red cross will be there, the older phone number will be there and it will be written as removed. Below, record will be removed and the new record has been added. That will be able. To understand it, it will have two details. To do the lesson, for our reference, that the older detail has been this what detail was replaced. You can see that this particular detail has been replaced. See here the instant messaging details. All these things has been updated. That is how we can do it here. This is a very high level report which I have created going ahead here. Or they can create a call field to extract the details inside this business process. But for a reference, I just created a high level report. They can take this report as a reference and use it. Any questions here? No, not to this part. After the mapping, we will give review and then we will give finish. When we finish, it gives two options, save and run. Now in some cases what happens is sometimes we create a data things task in advance, but still the data is not ready. We connected the source with the target, but it happens that the source is under review or under any particular maintenance. In that case we can save, or if let's say if it's ready, we can save and run now. When we give save and run now, I'll just give this cancel. When you give save and run now, we target data and integration will run between source and the target tenant. This integration will update a target with a new data. Almost we are not able to just run the table with the updated data. That's the only thing. Otherwise, what is the data change task? How to configure it? What are the operations in it? We have called almost everything into it. When we just only difference when we give save and run. Now the data details will be saved and the table will be updated with the new data. That's the only part. Does the data change task have something a validation mode that is available in the EIBs? Validation mode that tells you, hey, this data would go through, there will be no errors, you can upload now. No, it won't be as such, but it will fail. There won't be any validation as such. But here, if I see the validation here, let me filter the data based upon the errors. warning. It will give warnings. And let me also pull it failed. If it has any error, it will fail. Let's see the failure result of this one. Even if you have a 10 data changes and one is wrong, everything going to fail. The one going to go through. Yes. Here let's say Workday encounter an error while materializing into table, materializing as init while converting the data, and here the instance is written work or contact work or customer support for providing the details. It basically stops. A processing for other thing as here see it. Give us an error that load. Completed with errors. Total input rows 80, total rows inserted 78. The remaining 2 the total. Row rejected because of validation error. Yes, review the error by downloading the error file. This is the error file. I will click on it. I need to refresh the page. But basically when I will download it, I will be able to see that particular error report. Which was it? This one, I guess it. Now which we are referring to? Now this one. Let me get this. If none of this work, contact your work with the administrator. We are not able to download this, but basically it will have the record file. Because we are not owner of it, we won't be able to download the details of it. But basically it will have the details about why it got rejected, why does it have a validation error. Based upon that, we can review it and we can dissolve it. There might be multiple errors to it. Let's say if I review this error consists of load to account completed with the errors. A validation stage in source data set removed to invalid rows. There was some in the source file too. It was running smooth. But in the source 2 files were removed. Because of that in table 2 rows we are not able to update it. That was the cause. The other one went through. In this warning, 2 fell but the rest went through. Yes, the rest went through. Here in this case 80 rows here. 7878 went and 2 didn't win. It will show that here landed 1 field. Here we can see the error. The error shows the load was a bot because the number of errors exceeded the maximum rows threshold of 10,000 rows. Review the errors by downloading the error file. There might be some threshold of, let's say here 10,000 is there. I did notice. Depending on the tenant side, let's say if the Workday administrator don't want to ingest the data at what time, more than that it can limit it here. You can see here also it has loaded 12,000. Here also if it's same error. Here's a different error, but there might be some validation or some threshold kept which is restricting to load the data anytime, let's say as you told. That for the validation, what can be done? For validation, this is the only key to see this field. Fail errors. When come to re-intention activities, see the field. It will on a high level, it will mention the error and for the rest it will ask you to download this Excel. In that the failed rows will be downloaded and the reason will be mentioned that what is the reason behind it to fail. That is the reason for it for the data. Just have, but it's very important. This thing for troubleshooting reason. If you want to troubleshoot your working, it's the most beneficial part, otherwise you won't understand at all that What was the reason behind the failure of your data load exactly? That is the thing. Here's the connection as I mentioned. There won't be connection. Basically, you can see two connections are already only there for connections. We actually need that any particular address details to have a connection. But connection is if I do the connection, it will simply do the connection, it will run. Connection is not directly connected with table or dataset, but rather it is using data change task and a dataset. Let's say if I create a creator-based dataset, then when I click on SFTP, it will show me this to two connections. Which one to choose or create from scratch. See, here it is asking to create from scratch, but when I go to data change, task which I created, see here it is prompting up with the SAP 2 Workday. When I configure a SAPI connection over there, I can use it over here. It is not. Directly, we are connecting with any data set or something that we will be using that connection in data change task. Let's say I want to select it. You select and then I can do the confirm and go further here. It is saying that for previously, you selected report and now you're changing the connection. Are you sure if you want to go ahead with it or not? Discard the existing configuration, but we want to keep it as it is. Otherwise, we can give and delete it completely. Now, when all things are done, now it's time for publishing the dataset. What is publishing? Throughout the working which we did till now, this all kind of working won't fall under. Still, it's not available to the general public. Let me show the lineage. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I see the graph. Yes. This graph basically represents this is called as lineage. What does lineage mean? We already covered that thing, but I will just explain it again. Lineage is basically an understanding of the data flow. Always the data will flow from left to. Here the arrow is also there, which signifies the data flow. Data will flow always from this left side to the side. Here, this is a complex lineage and this is one and easiest lineage. If I explain about the complex lineage, that data, that is current data, if I go to here, I can see that there are other connection as, let me close this for repeating. When you work as a Prism consultant, your work will look this. You might require to create multiple data sets, depending on the definition requirements. There's no one step or any particular solution that you have to work on this particular only limited data set. You might end up creating around 40-50 data set as depending on the requirement. It is important that when you get into a new project, you can understand a project by seeing the lineage first. That what is the data flow? And that is, it is very important to name it very correctly, that if I name it TVL ESG mapping rules and supply direct emission, and here I can know that this table will consist of mapping rules and this will consist of supply direct emission. Correct? Then after this is a table. Here I am getting the data and storing the data, and here I am doing some consolidation or transformation over here. After going ahead, I am doing union of all of this. Then after that I am ingesting this data into a table, that is, I am storing into a table and doing further workings. By this I will have a better understanding regarding where the data is flowing and how it is working. When we do this union over here, I am just giving a suggestion. There might be a join as, but I am just giving a macro picture, but how we analyze the lineage. When we do this thing over here, all the lineages are getting concentrated over here. It might be either a union or it might be either a join. There are two possibilities to join all these data set and tables. Later on here it's written as enriched spend data. It seems that they have enriched this particular thing over here and they are using table for storing it and they're using it as a one table solution for it. Furthermore, it is then providing data to this DDS and also it is providing that they are data to this DDS as it's better. When we do the analyzation, it's very important that you first for do 1A. Lineage based if there is an existing data. The existing data sets or tables available. Where the data flows from where. Once that's done, then you can go to each and every DDS and do a more detailed examination of it. Why they created the data set, why they did this, created a data set. It might be that they might have performed any particular transformation on this side. There are chances for it. Then here, when they did a join, what was their logic? Did they did a join or they did a union? It's up to them. What did it? It helps you because it's not always that you will be creating everything from scratch. You can take this an assignment. You can note it from this piece. Supplier sustainability, and you can try an understanding that what they are doing. What steps are they doing? It will have a clear understanding because there are chances that you will be working on existing things which are already created. These are the steps. First of all, understand the lineage, that which data will flow from where. Let me open this. This is a supply direct emission. Just for the reference, I will open this and open edit transformation. Don't give view, otherwise in view only the data available in the transformation. In the data set after transformation will only, as you will see, you can do the click and give edit transformation. In here I can see that here, when they import this, it has some error, some went wrong. There might be some issue with the data set, but they have added a stage with the name of manage field. What it does is it rearranges the things. Here you can see that include 13 out of 14 fields. It seems that they have hidden the supplier field over here. That is one transformation which I've done. They have changed the naming convention, as here in supplier with there wasn't any space between them. They have added a space between that supplier space with. Here they have hidden unnecessary columns. Also they have do a renaming here. Emission, the E is small, they have made the capital. Spend category also has space between them. Here they have removed the underscore. Here we can understand that the reason behind, because in table V, if we do any transformation, basic transformation is available in base dataset, and advanced level transformation are available in the derived dataset. In derived dataset, we came to know that in derived dataset, they have did the transformation regarding renaming the field names and also hide one column into it. If I see this, I can see 14 fields and the old name, supplier name, is with an underscore. If I go here, there are 13 fields. They have hidden one and supplier name is supplier space name. This is how we analyze it. Once we analyze it, we can go here and we go into edit transformation. Here where all these two table and two data sets have been consolidated. Yes, here you can see. First of all, they are importing supplier invoice staging. First of all, they are importing this table supplier invoice staging and doing the manage field. If I go here, the import has 23 fields and they're importing this table. Now after importing, they have created a manage field in manage field. What they did? The manage field. We can see what if they have done any modifications or not. It seems that they haven't done any modifications, any visible modifications. Yes, after that we have added a join. Now that what they are doing is they have done a join with supplier invoice staging 2. They have made a join again. There might be some logic behind doing that. We can see and go over here. They have mapped supplier invoice line here and here, supply invoice line here, supplier name and here also supply name. Here they have selected all the required fields from not both of them, but from any one place. Here we can see that here the fields are different and here also the fields are different. As I mentioned you, there won't be duplication. Here there is supply line, invoice line here, and here supply name is there. Both fields are over here at supply name and supply invoice line here, but they only select it once. They select it over here in here and here, and then they haven't selected over here. Here what they did is they selected the fields which had not existed in the primary pipeline as SPTI target and T1, and they because it's not present. Once they created a field, now after the join from 23 fields, they have 26 fields, and after that they apply another join with the datasets mapping. Rules, which field is this? It is this field, datasets. First of all, they ingested this field and this table, and then they interested this table detailed data set. If we see the join over here, the join also has been done on supply category valid.du. See that they have at least used at least 2 joining key. It is important. At least for doing a join, you should at least minimum have 1 join key. But if it's 2 or 3 join key, it's best because it will help in matching the data more efficiently. Here also they have done the mapping, and here they have selected all the fields, and as I mentioned, OPID we generally use in the beginning of it, and later on we don't use it, we unselect it. You can also see over here the PIDs are unselected. It's a standard working procedure that we don't generally use EPID. They are used in the beginning of the lineage somewhere over here, but going ahead, we generally unselect it. Why? Because they are not needed. They are needed during the beginning of it for a troubleshooting that if the data is loading correctly or not. Here, for example, somebody would remove the table, the first value from them, because you talk about the columns and the rows. But what about a data set? How is the relation work if you delete a source? You're still going to have the, maybe I'm going to put this differently. If you make a data set, can you come back to this exactly? The data set lineage. You have a TBLES mapping rules report, and then you have a DDS. You have a table and then you have a data set. Because I load the data from table to data set, I still have this data in the data set. If I lose the, for example, table mapping rules report, then I'm still having this data in the derived data set. Actually, there's a big difference. That's where the role of table and dataset comes. Here what happens is in table. Table is exclusively used for storing the data. And DDS doesn't store the data. Let's say if this table goes blank, DDS will also go blank. If table has 100 data and it's got more than it, will be 110. And DDS will also have 110. DDS doesn't store the data. It's just stored a transformation. That's why they keep on creating a table. See here also, they created a table. If the table is get deleted, then derived data set will also be 0. But when this lineage is created, I won't be able to delete any of them in the between. If FISM identifies that if their dataset or table is connected with or has any dependency with any other object, it won't let you delete. It will give an error that, first of all, that this table or data set has dependency on any other object where, if you can see here when I click on it and scroll it down here, see it, I will see the imports. Unless this dependency is imports and data team here see data. Since tasks are also there, they are data chains downstream, there's upstream and downstream. Downstream is that it is getting the data from the downstream. Means data is flowing from the downstream to upstream. These are the things when there are dependencies on it. It won't let you delete the things, and as I mentioned, when the table gets related, let's say here the table data gets blank and derived data set data will also go blank. Because derived data set doesn't store the data, it only stores the transformation details. Basically, it's kind of an equation because you have some value, then you have, I don't know, some transaction, and then you have the result. Yes. You can continue. I hope you got the answer. Or do you need more support? No, you told me that. It's basically that you don't. You cannot remove the tables from here because that for everything. Yes, when I give delete to it, it won't give me delete option at the first C. No delete option, but when I go to table which I created yesterday, let me search, we haven't connected with any. I think it got refreshed or what. I feel it got refreshed. Let me quickly create one and show it to that. It will show me the delete option. Why? Because it's not connected with anyone. And class is probably going to be 10, taking data from the other one. It wouldn't really get rid of the data permanently because it's not going to be the source of the data. It's just going to be a copy of it or something that. Here transformation is in progress. Means it's uploading the data. See, here I'm getting the option to delete it. But if I see this and if I try to delete this, I'm not getting option. The difference is that, let's see if I click on this and I can see by two ways. First of all, I can see the lineage of it. I can link on. View lineage. One option is that. Once that load, I will show it too. But when I scroll down, over here on the left, I can see data change task. First of all, dependence is non-imported by and no one is importing it. There is no any upstream data in such. There is no. In DAOs to data sensors, this will take automatically. You don't need to mention. What is downstream option? It will take automatically. Basically, it is a prisms and understanding the data is flowing upwards or downwards in the little lineage. Here everything is none. That's why I am getting an option to delete it. If I click on it, I'll get delete option. Also, if I see the lineage of it, lineage it's alone, it's not connected with anyone, then I will be able to delete it. Delete. But when I go to this ABI agent mapping and I open its lineage into the new tab, I will be able to see some sort of lineage into it. When I opened it, I will scroll down. Here I can see the dependencies is none, but it is imported by Able Agent Mapping DDS. There's an upstream task as, and that's the reason when I click on it, I'm not able to delete it. No delete option. Here I can see that the thing which they mentioned, it is being imported by this one. Whenever something is connected with anything, it might be derived dataset. It might be a base dataset table. If it is connected with any of the other objects, we won't be able to remove or delete it. And the second question, I will just read it, that the main purpose of the table is to mainly store the data that it makes different from base dataset and derived dataset. That's the reason base dataset and derived dataset only contains the transformational data. Base dataset will contain the import related data, how the data is being imported and how the data passing has been done, how if the file is in CSV, how we are modifying it or how it is. And dataset will have the transformation related things. It won't store the data. The data storing part falls for the table. And in table we won't be able to do any transformation. Apart from changing the name of the fields and all, which are some basic one and which are the one thing process. That thing there. Now you can see here also this join has been done, and here mapping also they have imported this particular fields. Apart from it, I can see two calculated fields that has been created which wasn't available. When any cal field is created, it will automatically show here that two cal fields are created, and here also I can see the two cal fields. If I'm not able to scroll it over here, then I can click on it and again click here. It will be automatically scroll it over here. Here they have created a case when condition, a case when scope category is to exclude it, then exclude it else included. They have basically capitalized this, excluded E is there. They have done the excluded or else included. Or there might be chance that there might be no one is banned. Category as included. They have created this case when condition. It might be that they are using that exclude. Is there then excluded or else included? Because there might be no any spandex or egress included over there, they have created this. Then if I go to draw for condition, then here the true or false condition is that scope category is not equal to excluded. If this condition is, if it meets, it will be true. and if it's not, then it will come as false. There is some error with this lineage. Something is wrong with this lineage. That was showing some error. But ideally it won't share error. And this is how it's created. I'm just giving a high level picture how we analyze it. First of all, we analyze the lineage. Secondly, we go into lineage and understand how the data is being connected with it and how the working is being done. Sometimes the manage field you will find in some of the work. Lineages that manage field will be there in the beginning of the transformation. Derived data set at the end as why? Because sometimes what happens is when you import the data, in some cases the field type changes. Let's say if something is into a number, it might change it. To text employee is a number, but sometimes employee is being taken into text. Or sometimes it's into something. Is it to text? It gets into numeric one. A numbers and letters inside. Yes, for that reason, the Workday suggests that as a part of standard practice, you can involve the steps into your working. Always when you import any import will be the first stage. You want to replace it or remove it or delete it. Once they import it, after that people add manage field, and after they finalize this, they will add a manage field in the last as a part of standard practice. But this is used where there are too many fields, where there are too many different objects and different fields used. During those, they will do this standard practice. You might find it that why this is unnecessary. There is no any management. There's no reason to it. But the reason is that they are just confirming that the data type is this particular one. Any questions still here? And how we can analyze this lineage and how we can do it? No, I think it's pretty clear for now. It's not if you understand this particular lineage, it's about how you analyze it. Any lineage, if I just explain for this one, then you won't be able to understand others. Every lineage will be different depending on the requirement. The main intention is to, on a high level, understand the lineage and then go into each data set and understand what transformation has been done and what has been achieved in the end. That is why it is important to name the tables and DDs in a way that you are also able to understand, because when you also develop in the beginning you might have 2, 3, but going ahead when you finish that work, you have when it moves to product, there are chances that it might increase to 50. Data set. When there is any error coming, it will be easy for you to troubleshoot. This is how you debug or analyze any particularly. Image, you can see that when we complete this, all the walking, we name that as PD's desired data. Set PDs is nothing, it's their desired data set only. But we name as PDs. Why? Because it's published. If I click on it and if I open this view, let me open this as here we will see the difference. First of all, these are the derived data sets. The derived data set which is published in what publish is available for other people for the walking. When here you can see that this deeds is there. I just pick randomly. If I go over here, go to activities, here I can see the publishing status of it and what is the last published request. Here I can see that the 0 rows published. The rows you have published, but those are deleted. But if I see the piece supplier and go to activities, I can see that on this particular date, it ran for 5 minutes and it published 11, 15 to 9 rows. When this is published, it is available for me to review it. And how I can double check it? I can go to, let's say I can go to business object bow and search. Password. Here, if I go to view business object, I will be able to see this business object as PDs. Supplier system to Prism. Why? Because I published it. If I do the same for all these dates, I won't be able to find this DDS by searching the video. Be always what business object. You remember when you created the report, there was a business object assigned to it automatically depending on the data source you selected. You get the data set which you publish it. We just name it as Ps. There are just derived data sets, only nothing else, but we exclusively create a piece of it. We name it as PDs, which makes this understandable that this is our published and available for the reporting purpose or analytical purpose. Here it is available. By default, Workday renames. Suffix it within a square bracket named Prism, that it is understandable and it is not a Workday delivered business object, but rather it's a Prism business object. Here all the 49 fields are there. If I go here fields, the 49 fields, all the fields. Over here the name. Everything will be same as this one. And apart from it, I go to the data sources. Data source will also be this one. Always for PIs, the data source and the business object will be the same as the name of the published data set. How we publish the data set? To publish a data set, let's say I want to publish this data set. I will go to view. I will see the activities that whether it has been published or not. No, it's not published. I will check that whether this thing is available for you or not. I will go here and I will see search. I'm not getting any data. Now what I will do is I will publish it. There are two ways. One is quick action and go publish. Otherwise, I can go in these three dots little actions and go to publish and publish data set. I can also create a schedule of it. Let's say if I'm getting a data, if I show you the lineage wise, if I get the data on regular basis, let's say daily, my data is being updated, that the update should also get published. Otherwise, let's say the data is flowing on a weekly basis. It's getting collect over here, PDS, but my PDS is not getting published. The data is over here, but when we publish it, it will be only available for the workday. That's why I can create a schedule depending on my requirement. Schedule is basic, the workday one. When I go to publish, it will ask me that the dataset is published and security will apply on the price and data source review the information and security as we're publishing. Basically, the dataset will be published and the security listed here will be applied to Prism data source. Means this particular one, if I want to give access to this particular security, I can give this domain secure to them. Basically, the security guys look separate, but this is just for information I can submit. Once I give a security, submit, I will. In activity step, I can see that it's processing. I can see the processing over here. There are chances it may not it failed because it has error from the previous lineage. But let's try with our working if we have any of our working available which is not published. Thank you. Thank you. Let's review its lineage and then publish. Here we can see that DDS employee is there and it's not published. If I see the published status here, if I open it in a new tab, yes, we can see it's not published. We can go here and we can go to publish, and depending on the data, it will take time to publish it. It might publish within a minute or it might run up to 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the type of data, type of transformation that has been done. Because when we do a publish, what it does is for a lineage. Let's say if we publish, for this it will publish. Do the calculation for all the data which is behind that, and process it and do the latest publish of it. Sometimes it takes time depending on the type of data or type of transmission which has been done. Sometimes the time also increases if there are too many alternate processes going on. Let's say if too many data sets are getting published or too many processes happening in the background from the Workday's end, and it also hampers the publishing time. But there's a normal judgment. Just a quick, it's a good thing to know that anything which takes more than half an hour, it's generally a red flag. That why this thing is taking much time? Suddenly, it shouldn't take more than 30 minutes. It's not any particular benchmark provided by the Workday. But this is just from my personal experience, that if something takes more than 30, 35, 40 minutes, then there's some issue with it. Either it might be that servers are down from the Workday's end, or either something is missing and it's stuck in any loop. Thank you. Here we can see that total row published 26, and here I will see the published status. Based upon this, I will keep on updating. I said now 26 row published, and in this particular data set, I'm having 26 rows, but let's say going ahead I got 28 rows. What Workday will do is it will completely remove the existing one and replace it with this newer data set. Now when I click on this, For example, if you set up, this is going to be weekly schedule. You can get every week a new set of fresh data. Exactly. Every week we will get a fresh data or maybe the update of that particular data. Let's say if the worker is there and I have created data set in which the worker information has been changing. On weekly basis, I will get the updated data. Either we will update it or add the new data depending on my work. Now it's created. Now if I search it over here, see, it's available over here and I can see the details of it. It will appear. Here 11 fields are there and the same 11 fields are here. Fields 11. Land fields got published in this one, the data. Source name is also same as this one. This makes us available. Now if I want to create a report, let's say I will create a report, create custom report, the tourism test report. When I search in the data source, it will be available for the data source. This is what I want to explain, is that when we publish a data set, we will be able to enable it for reporting needs. Then first of all, what we did is we fetched the data from outside the Workday and inside the Workday. We do the transformation and again put back into the Workday that we can do the analysis. That is the main function of the Prism. It has came. And now we can see this triangle. Triangle, the symbol for triangle is for Prism. Let me show it to you. Let me give that it might show. Let's see, this triangle symbol is coming. It's for the prism. Yes, if I click on here, it might somewhere just show me that it's not going over here. But you can see from here itself, it's prism, and here also data source type. If it's the Workday delivered, it will come as Workday delivered, data source type. But it's prism, it's coming. Prism primary business object same as the data. Sources generally for Workday delivered. What happens is the data source might be different. Let's say it's all workers and primary is all of our worker for HCM repair. Voting and here primary business object will be worker, but it won't be case. And here I'll be able to find all the fields. Let's say if I want to pull this file, can we publish this one? Here performance was versus benefit. I will go here. I'll search performance versus rating. I will get this. This is how we work in this one. This is how we publish it and how we can use it for our needs. Any questions here? No, I think I'm good. We have covered how to publish it here. We will also cover how we can use this publish into discovery boards. We will cover the discovery board part tomorrow maybe. Yes, tomorrow I will be able to cover it up. I will let you cover that part at how we can discover. The board prism will be completed today after I clean the security portion. That when you publish a data set, Over there also be able to see that. How we can do the working on? From the how we can publish a data set. Just it is available for report. It will be available for the discovery board as this part is done. Now regarding the sharing part, let me pull the same example. BDS here when I click it. When I click on it, I can hear. I can first of all make a copy of it. If I want, let's say I want to use the same transformation, the type of transformation, which you use again. Take a copy of it and do it. And other option I am getting is share. Share is what? And I click on share, I will get these options over here. One is relaxed sharing rules and other prevent relaxed sharing rules for derived data set. What a relaxed area. Rules, when you enable this option, owner of the data set derived from this table or data set, only needs of your role to help to share this. Owner of this derived data set can share it with other users as but here in the prevent relax sharing when you enable this option Workday. Revokes the relax sharing option. First study for all downstream derived data set. What does? This means relax. Sharing means, let's say if I created this, if I go to release of this, let's say I shared this one. I shared this particular linear, this particular data set with someone. If I select relax sharing rules, that person will have not only access for this one, but also for the all downstream objects as the base data set. The tables or data set. Got it. Not only this, they will have access for this one as for this. One is, but let's say if I don't select this option, I select prevent relax sharing option and it will. When you enable this option, Workday will revoke relax sharing. 154 on all downstream data set, it will only give me access to this one and will revoke for this all. I think it's very much clear regarding these two options. Because they don't want to be an opposite. Actually, no and yes, choose both of them at the same time. No, we won't be doing it because when you enable this option, Workday revokes these rules. Exactly, it has given me some alert. You will no longer be able to controlled access on any data from this table. When you give save, it will give me error, but when you enable this Workday revokes. Revoke sharing functionality, it will get revoked. At least this is functional. Here for now, for the security reasons, I have the access. When you enable owner of the dataset from this table, only needs the viewer role here to share their dataset. The owner is whoever is created. Once this is decided, then we will first of all decided what things should be visible. Then once decided it, I can go down and who has access. Who are the dataset owners? I can mention that Logan McNeil, who is not Logan McNeil, but let's say Caroline is there. Yes, somebody has create. Yes, here. Let me go to job. Allowed assignees data analyst. Let's say the data I have to. Now let's say there is a person who has now left the organization. I can name that person in the owner I need. To change the name of the owner, let's say person has left the organization and now I can assign carefully to it. Here, what I am doing is I am assigning a position based one. Let's say if Carol Lee also gets terminated, someone will get hired on to the same position and that same position will, or the person who will come to the same position will get this a dataset owner permissions. Am I clear or shall I reiterate this one? Yes, I already explained it. I already explained. Let's say there's a manager. Let's say you are reporting to a manager. And what happens is when you want to apply the leave, when you want to get promotion, when you want to get any bonus, all the decisions are being taken by your manager. Manager is what? A position. Because manager in real life is as a person, just you. But in your organization, he has got a position of a manager because of his position in that organization. He has some control in his hands to give you, to approve your leaves, to give you bonus, to give you promotions. But let's say your manager, with somehow reason, he is getting retired or he is leaving the organization, he is switching somewhere else and some new manager is coming. Now, because that new person also has the manager position in your organization, he will be also able to perform the same action for you which your previous manager used to do. Got it. Here, you are not giving the permission on any particular person, you are giving this responsibility, you are giving these capabilities to the position, whoever occupies that position and not the person. Let's say if there's a director, director can sign the memos, but not a manager can sign. Because director, the position of the director has that responsibility. Let's say he's enabled the things that has been approved for him, that he can do these things. I think I'm clear for this part. Whoever comes to that position will be the owner of the data set. Makes sense. Because if the manager will leave, it's going to be terminated and somebody else is going to be hired into position. He will be the owner. You have the same options. Exactly. Correct. This is basically if we go to the deeper concept of security. Basically, those are there are different type of options. Security is user based or role based. This is a role based kind of a security role. By the agency, as you can see, user or security group, role based as in manager, accountant. These are the roles. And Logan, Mendel, then Caroline, these are the individual users. I can decide if I want to give access to the accountant position or if I want to give any individual person. And I can also give editor access. I can do that, but I made Caroline. Carol Lee owner. But I can make the someone as the editor option. I can make the viewer option. To others, person who is the owner and editor access, definitely that person will have viewer access by default. Because if he is the owner and if he is able to edit it, definitely he will be able to see it. But this is exclusive. If you make the Carol Lee owner, by default, you will be able to see enough viewer. You don't need to add it over here again. Here in viewer, you will add only the people who doesn't have any of this access and who only wants to view it and not edit and own it. Got? Because viewer access is what? Just to view it. If someone owns it or someone edits, has edit access, they will be definitely able to view it with no need of reputation. We only here give you access to only people who don't have owner or edit access. This is for sharing only. No, this is for first of all for sharing. These rules are set different over here. Now who has access? Who can have this access? We are doing it. See, here we are defining the sharing things that who can. The owner of the data set only needs a viewer role here for sharing the data set. Here I mean currently the owner. That's why owner of the data set derived from this table or data set only needs a viewer role here to share the data set. If I want Carol Lee to share it with others, I can name Carol Lee over here. Now Carol Lee will have the access to share with others as Currently, we are logged in with a profile with Caroline Allen. But when we will go log in with the Carol Lee's access, currently, Carol Lee won't able to share it because he is not the owner yet. We haven't done. When we assign the role to Carol Lee, then not only Caroline, but also this particular person will be able to share this data set with other people. Here we will consider that we can share the data set. Data set as in that we are sharing this. What we are doing is we are sharing this. And once we decide that what are the roles over here will be the owner of it, who will be the editor of it, who will be a viewer of it. Generally, the person who has the owner access will be able to share it with others. Let's say we did, whoever names comes, let's say here the Logan name comes. Let me check if, and some of the job family, because I assume that if you have, if you are position management and job management, then you're going to have people who are in the job management. You don't have a position exactly. If you want to give them access, what do you use? You can use position for a follower in the job management. Do you use a job mobile to give them access? That's a very good question. When we configure a staffing model, that's the reason where Workday suggests is that if you want to provide a detailed analysis, we provide a staff, we provide job management. What happens is when we create any staffing model, generally what the standard process is that in staffing model where we need detailed analysis for the people. When we also want to report a detailed things about it, we will create a position management system, but where there are very frequent hires and fires, and we don't need any particular position based reporting. Use a job management. You can see that in organization generally for the drivers, for the cashiers, for the warehouse loaders and loaders. Those kind of people are seasonal. They are basically hired and fired, and that. Basically, those are hired at a job management and they don't have any relation with seeing the data. But the people who are from management generally, they are basically into the position management. They are hired in the position management supervisor organization by doing this. We will be able to report more on it because they won't be frequently had and fined. If someone joins it, basically they will at least work for 1 year, 2-year minimum. And basically those are the people from the management who will be seeing this data. That is how we do the configurations. Here how we hire a position and job management. The person was from job management. Generally they won't. Generally they will be lower in the hierarchy of the organization and they don't have any relation with seeing this data. And furthermore, let's say there is any particular let's say I ingested a data for, let's say, vehicles coming for the parking lot. I want to create a bed for a worker. I will fetch the worker from a worker details from the Workday where report, and I will fetch from other system for the parking information that which worker is bringing. Which car? Number plate of the car. Number plate or name plate of that car that is bringing. Now I publish it and I want to make it available for the others. Then inside Workday I can give the security to others. But here we are only giving based upon the dataset security. When I create a report into Workday, and in that report I can give the permission to that other workers. This is how the sharing works into the Workday. And you can give the security to the people depending on our need. Any questions still here? No, I think I'm good. I'm glad you explained that because about the report, because I'm not sure. I was pretty sure that I know some people who are in the job management and they did receive some reports, but that's a different. There is an access to the derived data set and the access to the report. It's two different things. And there is also the security on the Prism and the security in the world in general. That's good to know. I think I got it. Yes. And also here dataset is it will have the full data, and report we can filter out the data and make only the limited data available for the job. Management people who are receiving that, we can apply the restriction over here in Prism. We can't apply a restriction on that basis. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.